and I'm joined by Michael and Brittany, and we are here with the Duck and Dog Show, our very first live stream here on YouTube. Now we are very much testing this out. I hope we have a ton of viewers here, but if we don't, hey, this is still a test, and we're in the planning phases and working this out. So this is a podcast that we have been working on and cultivating for some time here, and we will have our own YouTube channel. But for this week, we're gonna go ahead and post this on the Disney and Beyond channel for you guys. And this week, because it is the day before Halloween, we are talking Halloween and Disney this week and what it means to you and what makes Halloween magical from a Disney perspective. Because we are the Thinking Fans podcast, excuse me, there. But yeah, we're gonna pass it off to our host and kind of get an idea of what makes Halloween magical for them in a Disney way. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off with Michael, and then I'll go last because I feel like I'm the host. I don't know. I don't want to go first. It feels weird that because I'm the host and I go first. But I'll let Michael go first, and then we'll go to Brittany, and then we'll circle back to me, and maybe share some memories, what Halloween and Disney means to you, so on and so forth. Go ahead, Michael.
Right. So for me, Halloween is always like an evening thing, right? You get the little tiny tots that come around trick or treating during the day, but at night is when the lights go up and the bigger kids come out with their great costumes, and everything is in the evening, and your Halloween parties are at night. And for me, yeah, Disney parks are great during the day, but at night they really come alive in a completely different way. And that's just during the regular year. I mean, Tomorrowland takes on a whole different feel at night. And just walking through the parks at night and having the lanterns flicker in Frontierland, and even in my home resort at Wilderness Lodge, walking over to the villas, you've got those lanterns, and it's a whole different feel at night. And the way they light up the parks and all the effects they bring out, and I know they do it for the other parties now, and just with the regular nighttime fireworks and Castle's play show, but it's really geared toward Halloween for me. And the way you can light up Main Street USA and pipe in the music, and it really takes on a whole different atmosphere. The fireworks as part of the Halloween party, fantastic. The way they build in the villains, can really appreciate that atmosphere. Went to the party one year, and I remember going in and, why the heck is PhilharMagic open? And they were in there just showing the old Disney shorts based around Halloween, and I could sit down and watch.
But growing up, I always loved dressing up as Snow White or Cinderella, Disney characters. And actually, this year, my daughter's Elsa, and my husband and I dressed up as Kristoff and Anna. So, to me, I don't know, I always loved the fact that I got to dress up as a Disney character and pretend, really put myself in the role of Snow White or Cinderella. And for a little girl, that's just very magical. So I think for me, and then even this year, my sister did a Halloween party the other night, and getting to dress up as Anna, here I am, some 30-year-old woman, but loved getting to dress up as Anna. It was so much fun, and to kind of take on her personality. So I think, like I said, with the Disney spin and Halloween, that's what it's always meant to me, is a chance to dress up as some of my favorite Disney characters. And I always love seeing the little kids come around trick-or-treating, especially the ones that are dressed as Winnie the Pooh or, Mickey Mouse or Minnie. And, those ones always have a little special place in my heart. So
My neighbors last year, before they moved away, 2 Dalmatians, loud, barking, howling, whatever. Halloween last year, knock at the door. The mom dressed the daughter up, probably 7 or 8, as Cruella de Vil, and she walked around with the Dalmatian. And I'm
oh
like, you
my
know what?
gosh.
Home run on this costume. That was fantastic. Best thing I had seen all night. Didn't even register who it was. But it's just, then when I realized it was my next door neighbor, I'm like, this is fantastic.
That's
A
cool.
real
That
life
is
That
really
is
neat.
cool. I can honestly tell you that um, when I went trick or treating the other day with my daughter at Hollywood, for Wilderness, I saw a family that was it was a family of 5, and they were all Cruella de Vil. every single one of them, and it was amazing. Even from the kids to the adults, they had the full outfits. It looked, I mean, I thought it was made from Dalmatian. It looks so real. So, and I
That's
can
cool.
honestly say that that is, growing up in the area around Walt Disney World, trick or treating takes on a whole different form with a little more magic because you growing up in the time I did, there was two places that you wanted to trick or treat when you were a kid. Number one was Celebration, which is still, a thing, but it was owned by Disney at the time, so a big Disney influence in there. And then number two is Fort Wilderness with the campsites and the campers and the lights and the everything they do for Halloween and getting really into the season. And I'm just glad that I can pass that down to my daughter. And as much as growing up, the Halloween parties were much different than what they are now. Um, Number one, they cost a lot less, and number two, they were, more. There was more. It seemed like there was more candy and things like that. I mean, everything that is at Walt Disney World now has become such a production where it's like, people are just moving from one thing to another without actually having any emotion in it. It's like we have to see the parade. We have to see this show. We have to get some candy. Like it's not about actually wanting to do it as it is having to do it because you're there for Halloween and you have to do it. It's not, it used to be, well, I want to see the parade or I want to do this or I want to do that. I really feel like with the planning of Disney, it's really become, everyone's planning out their whole night and it takes away the fun and the spontaneity of the Halloween parties and Christmas parties and things like that instead of just running around and having those magical moments. It's getting there for the parade because if you don't get there 2 hours early and wait, there's going to be a massive amount of people and you won't be able to see anything. So those types of things, are a big deal now. But I feel like the Fort Wilderness is the last bit of actual spontaneity that you can have because, you can go there and take a carriage ride and pulled by the horses through the campsites and see the sights and the Halloween decorations, or you see the people at their RVs giving out candy. I mean, one guy gave you a piece of candy and told you a dad joke. I mean, it was fun. So little bits and pieces like that really add to the magic and you know add to that Disney flair because the Christmas party is the same every year. Let's be honest, it's never really changed. I mean, you might get a new show here and there, but not much has changed with that thing. It's pretty much this: you get the candy, you see the parade, the Booty parade, and then that's it. You ride some rides. So the same with the Christmas party, in my opinion. So, but it's nice to see that magic and people creating kind of their own magic, and I think that's what always made Disney great. And it's cool to see that still around.
See, I think you're right. The organicness, if that's even a word,
Hmm.
for what you used to be able to do is gone. Now you got to go in and plan where do you want to be and what do I want to do. You have people paying literally $200 to go
Yeah.
to this party, and now you have to choose: do I want to stand in a 2 hour line to meet this character, or do I want to ride some stuff?
Hmm.
They're overselling these parties from where it used to
Oh
be
yeah.
a couple of years back, and I think that was the last one I bothered going to. The line just for candy was stupid,
Yeah.
and that should be a fast moving thing. And when I saw how backed up that was getting, I'm like, Disney is really just grabbing money now.
Yeah.
And it does sell out, but I don't know what they're selling it out at. Like you said, if I got to stand there, pay $200 to stand on Main Street and wait for a parade for 2 hours, probably not the
Hmm.
best use of my time.
Well, there was a time when you would pay the massive amount for the. I mean, I shouldn't say massive, but when the party was a lot less expensive, you could pay and you were guaranteed to have faster access to the rides. You were guaranteed to have lower crowds. You were
Yep.
guaranteed to be able to get candy without having extreme waits. I mean, that was the thing, But now it's so Halloween in Orlando has become such a I keep saying the word production. I mean, even other Halloween events across at other parks have become, you know, just get people in and get them out, get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out, and bing, bang, boom, and do like a line of things and lines, 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 and lines. And, so it's the spontaneity of it, the ability to just have fun and spur of the moment, have this or that happen has completely gone away to an extent.
And I think that's part of just going to Disney, period, where you can't just plan a trip and say, oh, I'm going to go in a couple of weeks, take the family. If you don't book stuff, and we all know how it is at this point, it's so much planning. And, the Halloween party, same thing. You got people scouting it out ahead of time and where the candy stations. And I think they overplan too. You don't have to know where the candy is. You'll find it when you get there. But you really need to know which characters are important for me to see. Which stage shows do we want to see? I don't know if they're still doing 2 parades a night or if they're down to 1 parade a night, or, if you can stick around for the second parade, ride the rides. That's what I used to do. Even now as a local, when I go to the park, the minute those fireworks are going, I walk right on to Pirates or Haunted Mansion or Peter Pan sometimes, because everyone is packed in to watch because they're not there all the time. Brittany, this is your daughter's first year?
No, she dressed up as Belle last year. So she was 10 months old last year and she was Belle. So
see, those costumes are great. And you could do that in hot Walt Disney World and not have to worry about being overheated. I've seen parents, because it looks so cute at home, throw their kids into a little Sully costume. And then they come down to the Florida humidity, which does not break until December. And their kids are dying, but I paid $150 for this costume, and you're going to wear it all night. And our kids are crying and they're hot. And they don't, you just plan it out, check the weather, do a little research so that you can go and you don't have to be half dressed in the Halloween costume and wonder where am I going to put this now and roll it up and throw it underneath the stroller. Put her in a nice Elsa costume and she can wear it. It'd be great.
Agreed, 100%. And it's in this time of the year in Florida, at least it gets nice and cool at night. So hopefully, that helps out with that. Now, speaking of Halloween and Disney, I think the most pertinent thing to talk about would be Disney villains, just because when I think of Halloween, I think of Disney villains or Nightmare Before Christmas, things of that nature. So, Brittany, we'll start with you. When it comes to Halloween and the Disney characters, what do you think of the most?
on a villain front, for some reason, my mind just goes to Ursula from The Little Mermaid. And I don't know if it's just she is ugly and creepy and evil. I don't know. Like she just, and actually she's probably like one of the villains I can't stand the most just because she is so grotesque. But my mind goes there. Like she really depicts, I feel like Halloween. Like I don't know if it's like her black tentacles or what it is, but or like I said, just the fact that she's just pure evil. But my mind automatically goes to Ursula.
I totally get that. There were some amazing blow up Ursulas at Fort Wilderness. And I must have seen the same one like 4 or 5 times, but I had the tentacles that move and it kind of looked at you and danced around, and it was pretty
Creepy.
very creepy. Yes.
Now, going back to my original point, Robert, I was not necessarily talking Halloween in October. These Halloween parties have been going on since mid-August. In the thick of the Florida heat. Even September, sometimes it's unbearable. And by now, it's cooling off. But for the folks that jump that early, it's crazy, the heat down here. So that's when I was talking with the Halloween costumes. Now, it's beautiful in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
Just wrong time of the year. For me, with the villains, I used to enjoy the old villains mix and mingle. I was never a Hocus Pocus fan. I don't get it. I don't need to see that stage show. When they brought out the villains and you get like a Claude Frollo and Governor Ratcliffe, and it was all these odder villains and the more random villains, and they break out of pain and panic, and those were cool because you could see Cruella de Vil any day of the week, and Maleficent used to be out more, and the Queen used to be out more. I know they do a lot more of that out in California than they do in Walt Disney World, but that's where I enjoyed seeing all those rare characters come out. Sheriff of Nottingham would make an occasional appearance. Gideon and Foulfellow, I remember meeting them one year. The hag from Snow White was right outside the Hall of Presidents with her apple. That was
wow.
And there was nobody there. I just walked right up, took the picture, and headed off. She was in an odd spot. But it was nice to run into those characters instead of the same old 4 and 5. For a while, they even tried to do the live-action Maleficent. And unfortunately, that died down a little bit, and they went back to the green cartoon version. But that was what I miss for as far as villains go.
Yeah, that I do remember the villains mix and mingle party, and I do agree with you about Disneyland. They seem to have more rare characters, or I guess more character or theme nights for characters, which bring out the rare characters in their parks, like when they had the 90s night and Disney Channel afternoons and things like that. So yeah, that they do bring those characters out there. Now, Michael, when it comes to you for Halloween and Disney, what do you think of as far as a character?
Yeah, I think I was really happy to be able to meet Governor Ratcliffe. So that was pretty cool. Until then, it was just some character that they used to have at Fantasmic, and when they changed that whole show around, it was great to be able to meet him a couple of years back. The Headless Horseman, I guess, would probably be what I think of just for the Christmas party, and I think they would put him into Campsite 2, I thought.
Yeah, they used to have him. He used to have. That's one of my picks too. So at Fort Wilderness, they used to have something called Marshmallow Marsh, which was in the back of Fort Wilderness. You have to know how to get there. You go down a trail, and then there's a bridge, and then there's like a cabin back there, which the cabin is still there. It's just abandoned. And he would actually come from the cabin to the settlement where you dock the boats, and he would run out there in the whole get up on the horse and do a whole song and dance, and be in the middle, and people would stand around him in a circle, and there was fog and the whole nine, and it was just super, super, super cool. And it's just one of those things that that we don't see anymore. And I heard someone talking the other day about us every year getting less and less and less at Disney, and unfortunately, as much as I want to disagree with that because I'm a Disney fan and I would never think they would do that to us, but the reality is it's true. We look back at a lot of the things that we used to have years ago, even especially with COVID. COVID pushed that along, leaps and bounds with a lot of the entertainment at Epcot and things like that. But little things like that and little things around the park that were magical, where maybe they weren't in places where people would normally, pay to have access to, like the parks. Anybody can go to Fort Wilderness. You just drive up and go. There's no charge to get in there. But the places that don't have that paid access, or they're not a party or what have you, we lost a lot of that extra magic that isn't at the parties.
Yeah, and I think COVID really helped Disney to realign. Well, COVID and JPEG realign everything that they offered. I think they just counted on fans to forget that we used to pay $79 on a bad night for the Halloween party. $799. When it hit $99, I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to go to this anymore. It's $99. Now they've added $100 to that, but people forget that there used to be a lot more, and people are so caught up in how much candy they got And I don't know. I mean, I wound up throwing mine away because I'm not packing this to fly home with it.
Yeah.
It's just a waste. Oh, I got 12 pounds of candy. Congratulations. Your kid's never going to eat all that. So yeah, they scale back on a lot. There's an upcharge on a lot of things. And for whatever they can, it's a business. They're like, oh, well, I don't know how much charge. It's the staff, people that want to see a nighttime parade. In my mind, we're not getting a nighttime parade anymore outside of the party. Number one, it makes the party special. You want to see a parade? Pay the money to come to a party.
Yeah.
They don't need the until park attendance is down. You go and look at the
bingo.
It's packed.
Yeah.
I don't need to have a parade to draw crowds in. I don't need to pay people to march and get dressed up and all this other stuff to be in my parade when the fans are already here.
Yeah.
And they're already standing around an hour to watch fireworks. So why am I going to give them a parade? You don't need it. Have a daytime parade because there are no fireworks during the day. And your draw there becomes the fireworks and the castle projection.
I've always said this for years on every show that I've ever been on. And I will believe this to the day that I die because I've seen it with my own two eyes. If you really are upset with the changes that Disney is making, the best thing that you can do is hurt them with your wallet because that is the only thing that they understand. If you stop going to the parks, if you stop buying the annual passes, if you stop buying the tickets to the parties, if attendance is down, if hotel stays are down, if all these things are down, then they'll make changes. I mean, look at it from a local standpoint. From a Floridian standpoint, attendance is down for Floridians. Floridians are not going as much, and they need sometimes that help to pick up in the slow times. And what do? They drop tickets to $50 per day, for Florida residents, for the 4-pack, or you have to buy 4 of them and you get it basically like $49 for 4 days, or what? I don't remember what the special is now, but there's some sort of special. But the point is, anytime attendance drops, the prices drop, and anytime people stop going, then things start happening, and you have to speak with your wallet, unfortunately. And it's people are just, it's like people are stuck in, I wouldn't say a rut, but we're creatures of habit, and we're used to taking all these trips to Disney and so on and so forth, and we may not like that they've changed things, but it's not stopping us from going. And I'm one of those. I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I just renewed my annual pass, even though the price just went up. So I'm just as guilty as everyone else.
That's it. They can raise the price, and people are still going to. They're like, "Oh, I'm not buying it anymore," and then they wind up buying it.
Yeah.
No one's stopping going. Hotels are packed. Everything. The parks are packed. They were doing it for a while. They had a promotion where it's like an after 4 o'clock pass or something, which was great. And they discontinued that. But if you can get 4 days for $50 or whatever it comes out to a day, not terrible. But again, do they need the Floridians? California, the bulk of the people there are local.
Yeah.
And when I go to the parks, I'm still hearing lots of different languages, and I'm seeing people still looking at maps. First timers, they might not need Florida residents as much as they once did.
They don't, because if you think about it this way, I think part of the reason, and I've always said this too, part of the reason why these parties do so well, and when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, when you're booking a let's say a $5,000 vacation package to Disney, that's your stay and everything. How much of that is the actual party? So if you're a family of 4 at $150 a ticket, or $100 a ticket, whatever it is, that's what, $400, $500, $600. So you take that out of the equation. How much more does that, if you're paying monthly for your Disney vacation, and you're set out for 2 years to come to Disney, or you're paying out for 2 years or whatever, a year, whatever it is, how much more does that add on to your package to add on that party? Well, the person on the phone can say, well, just for $20 more a month, your family can do this, or whatever they say. I don't know. $20 is not the right number, but it doesn't seem like a lot of money, and you don't have a real concept of what you're paying because it's one package.
Right. And then you have folks who, and it makes sense. The more you the more times you visit the theme park, the cheaper it is. So you can kind of, allocate that money across your stay. But for the folks who are buying a pass for that day and then paying an additional $200 to stay after 6, is that a day maybe you don't visit the theme park and hang out at the resorts or visit the resorts? I walked through Wilderness Lodge the other day. They've got villain cutouts stationed along the way, and they had 2 3D statues of Pain and Panic randomly placed outside Geyser Point. I'm like, this is really cool. I even saw that they had a giant Mickey pumpkin right off the water, and I didn't get a chance to go explore enough of it. But inside it's beautiful. So, do you pay twice to go to the park until 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock to leave, and then pay to get back in at 6 or 7? So now your cost has gone up exponentially if you're going to be staying in the park all day. And it would be crazy to have a park hopper because you're never going to hit 3 or 4 parks that day.
Exactly. Brittany, do you have any thoughts on this? Or I know you've been kind of quiet. I feel like we're monopolizing the conversation.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, I mean, back to your statement of, Disney, they're not going to make any changes until people stop going. I totally agree with that. And we're guilty of it, because we're, like I said, we live in Illinois, so we don't get to go to the parks all the time. So we tend to be these people that, our vacations, we go once, maybe twice a year. And yeah, we do tend to live it up. We do, we're going next month. We're doing the Christmas party. We do the dining, we do all this stuff. And yet we are also big complainers of, they raise the prices and, you're getting less. But yet we still do it, So I agree with that statement. I mean, because we've said it too, that the only way that Disney's going to make changes is if people stop going, but yet people don't stop going. We don't stop going.
Yeah, and I think that's the main. It's not a problem. It's not a problem for Disney, but for the thinking fans who realize that that's one way to get Disney to reconsider, that's not looking like it's going to be anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, you would. I mean, there's numerous articles and things that say Disney has hit their ceiling, and they're priced out this family and that family and all these other things. But it's like one of those things that people always find a way. And looking as someone who studies, and I shouldn't say study, well, enjoys looking at tourism numbers and facts and figures and things like that, because I work in that industry, number one, and number two, I'm always fascinated by it. But looking at the occupancy rates and looking at the attendance numbers and seeing all consistently, Magic Kingdom is the number one park in the world visited by the numbers consistently. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And until that changes, nothing's going to change, because they know that people are still going to continue to go no matter what, and people are going to continue to pay for these prices, and we can complain all we want, but
yeah, I mean, for all the little things that disappear, but again, if you're going to do it, I'm sure Brittany and her husband love going, but at some point it's all about their daughter, and we have to show her the best darn time ever. And that's the wrong time to start, watching every nickel and dime. Not everybody's lucky enough to go twice a year. Some people save up, and this is their very first time going, or they won't be able to go back for 4 or 5 years. But when I go, price be damned, this is just part of going on vacation and having the family really, really enjoy themselves.
So, and that is the bulk of the reason. That is the bulk of the people that come to Disney World. Now, Disneyland is different. They have to honor discounts for excuse me, for the pass holders. They have to have things like the Southern California pass and things like that for the locals, because that's what their market is. I mean, the biggest difference, that if you want to compare the two and see the biggest difference, what I always like to compare is the food. If you take a counter service restaurant like, let's say, Cosmic Rays, and you put it up against a Flo's Cafe in California, well, you get Cosmic Rays, which is a fantastic restaurant, but the food is rather bland. It's burgers, fries, chicken nuggets, and you have somewhat of a show that's been there forever. There's not really much theming to it. It's kind of space themed. It's kind of all over the place. And then you go to Flows, which is in California, and you have it's in Radiator Springs. It's heavily themed. It looks just like it did in the movie. There's just it's above and beyond, as far as theming, as let's say as the um Tomorrowland, but I can't think of the name of the restaurant I was saying now, but Cosmic Rays. But
I think,
it's far better themed than Cosmic Rays, and you actually get meals at there where you actually order an entree for the same price. You get an entree with two sides and possibly a dessert for the same price that you would pay, or even less than what you would pay for a burger and fries in Disney World. But they know at Disneyland, you can leave the park and walk across the street, on the road there. I can't think of the name of it now. The main road there that's right next to Disneyland. Walk across the street and get a meal for a quarter of the price of what you paid for Disney. They know they have competition where they don't have that here. You're locked in. Once you're here on property, most people don't bring a car. They take Disney transportation. They can't go anywhere, so those prices are justified because where else are you going to go?
and when I came down, I always rented a car because I was not going to get stuck. And this is when you still had the free shuttle between the airport and the parks. I enjoyed going to the outlets. I enjoyed going to restaurants outside the parks because number one, you're getting far superior food to anything you're going to get there. I mean, the fact that people still clamor to make reservations at Tony's just baffles my mind. Just as soon go to the Hollywood.
Some of it is good. Some of it is good.
Some are
It's
good.
not
Some of them are
Italian
terrible.
food, but it's
No
good.
one leaves Cinderella's royal table or Be Our Guest and said, "Oh my God, the food was amazing." It's the experience. It's the atmosphere. Outside of 2 or 3 restaurants, there's no place to eat in the Magic Kingdom without, like you said, burgers and chicken tenders. So, but I mean, I always rented a car, and that was part of it. Disney now charges, or you have. I mean, yeah, it was still Mears and Disney. It was operating, or Mears was operating it for them, but Disney was subsidizing it. Nobody has stopped going to Disney because you can't get a free ride to the parks anymore, or
Yeah,
to your resort. So anyone who was complaining about that was nonsense because they were going anyway, and they still are.
yeah. And it's crazy they took that away, and everyone complained and said how horrible it was. But people found a way to get to the park, and it wound up costing them more because now they have to pay for transportation to the Magic Kingdom. They have to pay for things like the Sunshine Express and all these other little or a car. I mean, which is crazy. That's a massive change. But people are, it doesn't matter. I mean, people will do whatever it takes.
I was going down there before there was a Magical Express, and you had to ride on the old Stinky Mears bus, and they had their little tip jar out, and but that's just the way it was. And then they started adding the free, but that's when I just started renting a car, and
Yeah.
then they tried charging for parking for a while because Chapek lost his mind, and they finally
Thank
brought
God that went away.
I can understand paying to park and for the resorts because you have people just making a day trip, and all resorts do it. But yeah, I don't agree with charging folks to pay at their resort. You want me to come? Fine, accommodate me.
Mhm. Brittany, do you have anything to add, or?
I will say the mirrors, that's what we take because we fly. We actually fly out of Chicago directly into Orlando
Mhm.
International. And the mirrors is horrible. It's absolutely terrible. Let me say this. We took it in February when we took our trip, and getting to our resort, we actually had one night at the yacht club resort. Because we were staying at Port Orleans Riverside, but they were doing
Mhm.
like a refurbishment one night, so they upgraded us to the yacht club, which was nice. But we had no problems getting there with mirrors. But thankfully, our flight was delayed on the way home. but like they ended up taking another family in our place, and it was a mess. Like we were late getting to the airport. Like I said, thank God our flight was delayed, but still it was, and I was getting worried because I was reading like reviews of it, and people were saying like it's fine getting to your resort, but getting back to the airport, um, you're going to be lucky to catch your flight. So yeah, it's not grand. It's horrible. So so yeah, that was another thing that we were kind of upset with because beforehand you had the Magical Express that was for free, and here now you have to pay for this mirrors, and it's awful. So
Yeah, but I guess like Robert said, at what point do you say, well, it's just part of the experience. If I want to go, I have to, factor this into the budget, and I'm going to do it, and they do. If that's the
yeah,
only thing that's going to stop you from going to Walt Disney World, it's not going to stop you from going to Walt Disney World.
and that's true, and that's kind of where we were at with it. We weighed out like pros and cons. Like, okay, do we fight this battle with mirrors, or do we want to pay X amount of dollars a day to rent a car?
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of pick the lesser of two evils or whatever, and pick your battles there.
I mean, when you look
Well,
at the value resorts that used to be $79, $99 a night, now they're up to two and change to stay at Pop Century or any of the All Stars. You're already paying that. What am I going to not pay $60 to get each person back and forth? That's not what's going to break the camel's backs.
100% agree with you. And those little things, they add up. But when you look at them up front, you're like, oh, that's no big deal. But then those things add up. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the Halloween party. When you're paying for a Disney vacation over time and you add on the party and it doesn't increase your monthly payment by that much, you're going to do it because hey, I get all this extra excitement. And I'm sure that the agents are really good at on the phone at the DRC are really good at selling it. I mean, I know some of the agents, they are really good at selling it. So so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things they can get you, oh, for this little extra more, then you can do this. And people will always, it's like the dessert parties for the fireworks, or the well, it's not the Epcot Forever fireworks dessert party, things like that. The parties, which I'm kind of shocked too this year they haven't had, but they've kind of scaled back on the parties at Epcot for food and wine this year. That was another thing that was interesting because those were very large money makers for them, especially the party for the senses. That was a huge moneymaker for Disney because everyone would want to do that because you would get fireworks viewing, and then there was a party, and you got to taste food from all kinds of different booths around the world, and that was a huge. It was actually a really good deal, which might be the reason why they stopped doing it. But it's just interesting to see the cutbacks and things and what people are willing to pay for and will still pay for till this day.
Yeah, I mean, if your vacation costs you a little more and it means buying one or two less souvenirs when you get there, well, then, I'm just going to have to do it. And when the few times where I'll go to a casino, I put all my money in my left pocket and I play out of that, and I put all my winnings in the right. And when I'm done with the left, this is what I'm taking home. And if you say, okay, this is the money we have for, we budgeted for souvenirs and we can't go over, we shouldn't go over that. It's just being a responsible consumer.
So I'll put the question out to you guys, because we are talking about Halloween, and it is the day before Halloween, and this is a Disney show here. If you guys could make your dream Halloween experience at, let's say, Magic Kingdom, because that's where the Mickey's Not So Scary party is, what would be that experience? What would that look like for you guys?
Yeah, Brittany.
Oh, geez. I don't know. Like I said, I've never been to the Halloween
Okay.
party. So probably just getting to go would be
Mm-hmm.
fun. And getting to dress up and see my little daughter and her little costume and the magic, seeing it through her eyes is, that's the thing now. Like I said, that's what we enjoyed when we went back in February. So, and we're anxious again to see now that she's more aware of everything next month when we take her. So I think that would make me happy from the mom perspective, is just getting to see her reactions to everything through her eyes.
See, now for me, and I can't remember if it was during a party or just on a regular night, but going back to that Villains Mix and Mingle, they used to have a separate hard ticket event for a villains gathering. I forgot the exact name. It was somewhere in the Magic Kingdom because I remember this big long line. And whenever there's a line in Disney, people just join the line. And I'm standing there watching people get turned away because they were just getting on this line thinking they were going to go do something special. Like, no, these people are here for this villains party. I'm like, hold on. What villains party am I hearing about? Never had a chance to do it, but if they brought something like that back, I would certainly give it a shot. If it was not a hard ticket, the entire park bit. This is a little more smaller, more exclusive. I don't even know where they held it. If they could figure out a way to do that with a smaller group and get some nice photos and, some desserts or whatever you're going to do, I think I would enjoy doing something like that.
I totally agree. And what you were talking about earlier, I think would be sort of my dream experience with the rare characters, having the rare characters out for the Halloween, having those characters you don't see all the time for the Halloween, or even having characters having meet and greets with even the Fab Five and their spooky outfits. I know they do that now. Chip and Dale has kind of their costumes, and Goofy has his outfits, and so having those things would be more. For me, I'm definitely a lot different than your normal person that goes to Disney, because I can go to Magic Kingdom, ride no rides, and be totally content with my day. Because I live here, I can do that anytime that I want. Whereas you bring out something I don't see every day, such as rare characters, and that immediately gives me a reason to go. It immediately gives me excitement. So those types of things are what get me excited about going to the parks, because the rides are always going to be there, and it's to the point now as a local where Michael, I'm sure you do this too. You see 20 minutes for Frozen and you're like, forget it, let's go to the next one.
See, I was like that even when I was living back up north. I would come down maybe 2 times a year, 3 times a year. If I went over and I didn't get a chance to ride the Haunted Mansion, it's okay. It'll be here next time I come. Yeah. I'm not really super concerned. Not getting on a ride is not going to ruin my entire trip because I didn't get to ride Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, no. I'll get it next time. And if the next time is 6 months from now, 1 year from now, doesn't matter. If I'm super jonesing, which I don't do, I don't sit there watching ride videos on YouTube. I'll stream music, but I'm not going to pretend I'm on a ride. But that's not, like you, that's not what makes the experience for me. Mm-hmm. I'll go at night. My wife and I will walk around. We'll grab a meal. We'll grab a snack. We might not ride anything. I might get on the TTA, and that'll be the only ride I get to do because there's a 20, 25-minute wait that I have no intentions of doing because I still got to drive home. But I'm fine with that. And I think it's more the experience. It's more the atmosphere. If you go to the party, the music, the lights, the shadows, and the moving, animated bits. That's awesome. Same thing with Christmas. So I agree.
I think a lot of it too, for people that are locals, is more so the people watching than anything else. Seeing the people around you, seeing the people on Main Street. There's been numerous times where I've just planted my keister on Main Street and sat there for hours and been totally happy with my day. Even waiting. I remember the first time that they debuted the Festival of Fantasy Parade. I went the opening day and got there right when the park opened and waited till 3 p.m. on Main Street. And it was the best day ever. I had snacks, I had pretzels and ice cream, and I sat there all day and I watched people, and then the parade came and it was awesome. That at some point that, you've done the ride so many times that becomes enough.
And some of these folks come up with amazing costumes. And just sitting there and checking out, same thing with Fort Wilderness. How are these people decorating their campsites, and what special costumes, what clever costumes? Not something you can just go buy at Party City. Oh, look, she's got that costume on. Oh, the ones where you put some thought into. beyond the family. Look, we're the Incredibles because there are 5 of us. Okay, brilliant. That's great. The clever ones, the ones where they put some thought into it. That's what I truly appreciate seeing.
Agreed, 100%. Well, guys, any final thoughts on Halloween at Disney before we wrap this up?
I'm looking forward to Christmas.
Me too.
Well, Christmas starts on Wednesday, guys. So
Yep,
there you
sure
go.
does.
Well, all right, guys. Well, it's been, as always, it's been fun talking with both of you. I do want to let you guys know that are watching this live or watching this after the fact, because this is going on my YouTube page. We do have a Duck and Dog YouTube page. I will work on getting that link into the video description for this video. But that's where we'll be streaming live. You can find us on Mondays at typically at 8:30 is when we start. Right then, and if something changes, we'll of course update you guys. We have all our socials, the Duck and Dog, on Instagram and Twitter and everything, or X, whatever you call it now, and all the other social platforms. We'll keep you updated on there. But 8:30 is generally our start time for this. We do have a backlog of episodes that we have recorded, which we are working on getting out, which we will. This just gave us an opportunity to get the ball rolling and get something live for you guys that you could actually see. So we're still working on things. Getting our intro and everything else together for the actual show. But this gives you a chance to meet some of the cast and crew. Now, of course, the cast and crew will change out as we go on. We have more people that couldn't be here tonight, but you'll hear more from them in the future and get to meet them. So it'll keep it nice and fun for you guys. But we appreciate everyone who watched this stream tonight with us live. And we also appreciate everyone who, will watch the stream later on. And do you guys have any final words before I give them the Mickey kiss goodnight, I guess?
Yeah, you got to remember, this is work in progress for us, and it's going to develop and it's going to grow. And we appreciate all the fans that stick around and will be interacting with us on these live streams. And are going to give us a shot. Growing pains. And I know we're going to do awesome things here.
And to that respect, fans, out there, feel free to interact, comment. This goes to my personal YouTube channel, which is now that I just rebranded here to the Disney and Beyond channel, which I've had for almost 12, 15 years now. So guys, feel free to leave comments. I see all the comments. I respond to the comments. I answer the comments. I do that myself. So feel free to make that happen. The only reason we didn't live stream on the other channel tonight is just because of limitations as far as what we can do, because it's a new channel. But feel free to leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer if you have any questions or if you have anything to add. We love that. And for this week, this has been Robert and my co-host Michael and Brittany. And this has been the Duck and Dog Show, and we cannot wait to see you guys next week.
Have a great night, everyone.